Nice to see you. Hello.
Hello. Enjoying the con, Nate?
This is my first one. I should have applied more deodorant this morning. I learned that lesson. Easy first con mistake, basically. You need to reapply. It's incredible. I live in LA, so it was an easy trip down. But my wife and I are both here together, and it's our first cons for both of us. So we're going to go into the floor later after this. I'm thrilled to sort of be amongst the masses, and yeah, it's so cool to see so many people who are so passionate about this world come together. I love it. It's great.
Are you a comic fan at all?
I was as a kid for a hot second, but then I got like way into baseball. I was like a sports nerd. But I had a love affair with Daredevil. Daredevil was like sort of, I don't know who that artist is.
Well, there's a few of them.
Like the first, like the one where he's like holding a like a magnum, like right at
That's
the.
Frank Miller.
Frank Miller.
Yeah.
Frank Miller. Okay. Who is revered, of course, for obvious reasons. I remember being scared. Like it kind of shocked me. I thought comics were like Spider-Man. I guess maybe, and you guys obviously know more than I do, but they seemed more kinder, gentler. It wasn't so punk rock. And I saw Daredevil, and I was like, holy shit, comic books are this? Because it was Hell's Kitchen, and it was dirty, and it was like scary and violent. I was like, oh, I can kind of get into this. My friend Pat Tian, back in Weymouth, Massachusetts, handed me my first Daredevil. So that was my first sort of like comic experience. Yeah.
Larry is not a character from the comic.
Right.
How did you engage? Did you engage the source material to build your character to form that world?
I didn't. I read the source material just to familiarize myself with the story and the world. But the character itself, I sort of ignored the source material and just stuck to Chris's scripts because I knew it would confuse me. And it would probably be helpful. I know the audience is coming in. We have to assume that the audience hasn't read the comic. Many of them will, but at least I have to make the assumption that they haven't. And Chris, the writer, has to make the assumption that they haven't. So we have to do all this legwork, and we can't rely on Brian and Cliff's incredible storytelling because it's a different medium. But I said in the panel, it was like, people will play these iconic characters. Like, I'm too much of a worrier, and I would be so worried about like not pleasing fans and disappointing people. I guess you just have to do it and let the chips fall. But having a character that wasn't affiliated was like, it just made it a little bit easier. I was like, it's just this. It only exists in this world. No one's gonna stop me on the street and be like, dude, Larry would never have walked that way. And I'm sorry. So hopefully I didn't break any hearts. I did, yeah. It's really sort of like a story engine for these four girls. We need to pull these girls back and forth through time, and it was a way to sort of add another level of story. You're dealing with these four girls, you're dealing with them, dealing with their future selves, trying to get home, transitioning from young girls to young women, and then there's these two other characters that Idina and I play, along with Jason Mantzoukas, who plays grandfather, who sort of like helps add additional layers of story to the series. So it was sort of like a way to keep the girls like moving throughout the story and give them more to do. My character is there purely to service the four girls and their story, and I was more than happy to play that part. Yeah.
Kind of sticking a lot to the script so that way you don't too much.
Yeah.
But are there any kind of habits or maybe like portions of the character that you can relate to, or have you had any challenges?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, he's been hurt in a pretty sort of horrifying and sort of tragic way with the love of his life. Has sort of been taken from him in this awful way, and he feels don't know if it's as simple as saying just like life isn't fair, and what do you do when you're dealt, that hand when you wake up one morning and the life that you wanted to be living that day is not the life that you are living. How do you adapt? Larry definitely is an adapter. He survives. He starts, when the girls go back in time, they see him young, fresh-faced Larry, who's not cynical, who hasn't lost faith in the world. Those are things I definitely brought to the character that sometimes things don't work out. And you have to roll with the punches or not, and start punching yourself. So I think just like deep disappointment, which everyone in the world can relate to, was a big part of Larry's story. Yeah. Oh man, every day and I go to therapy on Fridays, so Fridays between 12 and 1 is when I usually do that. Yeah, but I mean, that's one of the great parts about this job is being around, 13, 14, 15-year-olds and losing some of my cynicism and watching them, because they're doing all this for the first time, and I've been doing this for 20 years, and I'm cynical. I just am. I walk in like with my arms crossed to every job. And they walked in with a curiosity and a lightness and an openness to the job that I sort of, like I needed to take that with me to my next job, to remain curious and open and not get so stuck in my own ways. I guess you get burned enough as a before you're living any kind of creative life. When you get burned so many times, you start getting protective, and to see them be so open about every aspect of the production, I was like, I need to be more open and curious and less cynical. So I'll take that with me to my next job. Yeah. Thanks, guys. Thank you very much.